So a little Sunday dirt work for us here today. Dad's out with the dozer pushing terraces, and he said, hey, get the Kubota, come on over, because there's a lot of touch-up things that I can do with that. With this, that keeps the dozer moving a little faster, makes the terraces look real pretty. So we'll see you guys at the field and down the road. So there's what the terrace looks like to begin with. It's kind of got a little bit of some wobbles to it, but the dirt's there. This here is the stripe I put in the ground last year, which is perfectly north and south. Put it in there with the tile plow. The inlet's on that line. So the terrace will be on this line, which will then put this terrace directly on a planter path, so it makes it really easy to farm around. So Dad's roughed it out, and now it's time for me to make it pretty. While he keeps roughing on that terrace, and then he worked on that one pretty good over there. And pushed on some trees too. I think I'll call that one done. You might be able to tell, you might not be able to tell. Kind of what I did is tried to flatten the top up. That really does not matter. Over time, the rain will melt these down. Brome grass will get seeded onto the top of these so that it's a nice, it just looks like a grass strip in the field. Just try and make them look a little bit nicer. But one thing I'd like to try, don't know if I'd like it or not, but I'd like to try like a 6-way blade for the front of that skid steer. I don't know if you could actuate it quickly enough the way that you'd want to do it. I also think that like a D4 with a 6-way blade would be really pretty fun to have, but I don't really see much of a reason when that thing, we can get everything we want to do done. But it might be one of those fun purchases. Instead of like a speedboat, yeah, I'd have more fun with the dozer. This morning we got to grab a little tractor and a little seeder so we can do some seeding. Finish up these terraces. We didn't get any rain last night. Well, we got like maybe a 10 soaked in immediately. So let's get a little tractor. All the way up. Keep her going. All right, the horsepower and the seeding stuff's here. So this terrace right here, the skid steer here wasn't here for it yet. It's actually got grass growing in it too. So I might just leave this one alone. Like, yeah, it's got a huge clump right there. And of course it's the one by the entrance. It'll melt down and look pretty good. It's really not a bad looking terrace actually. The reason I wouldn't want to touch it, and this is probably one of the bigger reasons over making it look pretty, is it's actually functioning really well, because we got some big rains here and it did what it was supposed to do. So I'm thinking that one might stay the way it is. But right here's the difference in between that and a groomed terrace. You can tell there's No big clumps down there. And I think the other really nice thing about doing this here, that when the seed gets spread on it here today, that it will actually like get better seed to soil contact because it's more of an even surface. I don't know that, but my gut tells me that. Looking good, looking real good. So this terrace is just a little bit different. You can't really tell by the camera. I know that's a really hard thing about trying to do dirt work projects, is showing grade by camera lens, especially a GoPro fisheye camera lens. But anyways, this back hill kind of slopes down towards, well, there's a pond down there, and because it slopes down and kind of is almost level with the inlet here, you don't have necessarily, like, imagine these terraces kind of like a big pool almost that has a drain in the middle of it. You don't have a lot of holding capacity if your inlet is about the same as your end down here. Now granted, you can get the water to flow to the inlet, and that works good. The issue would be is once you get a big rain, is that if you can overrun that inlet with the amount of water that it can take down, so you need to have a little bit of holding capacity. And what we don't want is the water to hit this and rip around the edge of the terrace, because then it's really not doing what you want it to do. If it did happen, it's not the end of the world, because there's another terrace at the bottom of the hill to catch that. What got put on the end of this here is actually kind of a block, and so we raised it up, so there's a bump here at the end, and what that did is basically increase our pool size. So that will hold a little more water back and from flowing over the back end of this terrace. Following me? Andrew's here with the landau. He's gonna work up where the dirt's been worked so that we can get some soybeans in the ground. And this project might have the big old green check mark. Once we get the big green check mark, I will obviously fly the drone with you guys. And I think I could try and wrap this whole project up from start to finish, talk you through it, so the people that might be interested in taking on a project like this or trying to see the big picture of what we did here, then you can see what it was, what we did, and now how it is. That should be like I feel like that's some type of poem or something, I don't know, or inspirational quote, I don't know. So this terrace is actually pretty interesting too. So I had to come out a little ways away from the pond just to get to the depth here. It's hooked around. It's got another little end cap on that side to try and hold some more water. But we're gonna come around the edge of this trees here, and I tried to make a big enough bump and gentle enough bump that we should be able to farm over it and then turn about where Andrew's standing into a 90-degree, go that way. To hopefully improve the farmability of this this little corner here. I think it's a cool looking terrace. It's like, I think it should work. It's a big terrace. I mean, there's a lot of dirt in that one right there. Might be getting a little geeky if I start calling terraces cool, but that's a pretty cool terrace right here. Time to go do some seeding.
Or a bigger hole.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, you probably don't need to close it all the way, but
Bounce out if you go across the field.
well, you can't fill it all the way up. I think you can only go about to this bar.
good for allergies.
Oh yeah, you standing downwind a little bit? Let's go sling some seed. How does this start? Starting to look a little gloomy over there. But now, now that I got that done, Andrew's gonna go do a little timber tillage. He's just barely scratching that stuff back into the dirt, get a little coverage on it. We actually get the rain we're supposed to get. He'll put it in the ground here for today. Can't say I recommend doing this though. Going across fresh work dirt with dozer dirt. I don't know how I'm trying to say. It's kind of rough on a lawnmower is what I'm saying. So I can't say I recommend doing this with a lawnmower. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking that a guy ought to be smart and start thinking about backing up and getting out of here. Because that looks like she's gonna rain. Well, I guess we're gonna see how well those terraces work. We got a downpour. Okay, project overview. Hopefully you guys can get an idea of what happened here. So here's a really big waterway that was separating this farm into like two fields. Where the arrows are pointing, this actually footage is from an older video that I'll link up above. I think it's like flooding my neighbors or something like that. But the arrows pointed at where the terraces are gonna go. Those are those scratches that are kind of going vertical on your screen. Where we're pointing now is the horizontal runs are where the tile runs are themselves, and those have inlets in it. There's the single run with the single terrace that wasn't fixed up. This is the two terrace waterway. Again, you can see the waterway there. That's now gone. So that will really help out with the farmability of this farm. You won't have to like farm around the waterway or spray around the waterway. Here we're just going to go up across the flat where we actually put some 4-inch pipe into the flat to try and drain some of the wetter spots of this farm to see if there's going to be a yield response for that, see if that really fixes up this flat. Some of the better dirt on this farm wasn't performing as well as we thought we should, so we put in a tile run for just to see if we get a response from it. But jumping into what it's done now, there is a single run terrace that was not beautified. Again, that's I guess how I'm defining that one. There was no real waterway with that one. There's a little grass strip, but here was where the first waterway was. We got rid of the waterway, obviously, and put the two terraces in there. Really shaped that up. That has 4 inches in on each side of the terraces. You can tell that the terraces are all in line with each other on 60-foot passes from this far fence line of this property. So you won't have a terrace in the middle of a planter pass per se. The bottom down here, we ended up actually getting like an inch of rain like really fast. There's a couple of spots that need fixed up. They did get fixed up. But you can see as we move across here that all these terraces again are in line. That whole big waterway that separated this field is now gone, and it's basically one big field. Going to improve the amount of time that it takes to farm this farm, and then also we're going to be controlling the water as it comes down across this farm. Quick little spin around. You guys can see the overview of how this all turned out and where those 4-inch runs were coming up and through across this flat here. Just looks like a big Y. And then as a little bit of bonus footage for you guys, you can see me about crash my drone straight into a tree as we try and bring it down. Barely missed. Well guys, you're on my iPhone, so just bear with me. I'm not quite used to using an iPhone. Don't have the GoPro with me. Wasn't really planning on filming today, but I'm out here actually capping off the end of this project and ending this video with you guys, putting the beans into this ground. Ground's pretty chunky right now, but we didn't catch the rain that we were supposed to last week or last night, so we're just gonna put the beans in the ground here. You can see the ground here almost looks like it's gravel. That's just kind of the way it is. I think it's June 13th for me. I would check, but you're on my phone. So June 13th-ish, so these beans are late. Are they gonna yield that great? No, but will they ever yield that great where dozer work's been done and there hasn't been a frost in between there? No, it screws up the dirt for a year or so, but definitely I'd much rather see a project like this get done. This is for the greater good. Lose a little bit of yield on a few acres of beans. Apples, when you can improve a piece of ground like this, I'm really happy with how this project turned out. Really happy with how this project turned out. Hopefully you guys could see the whole encompassing scope of this project throughout this video. We're gonna go plant some beans, and I think the next video for you guys is we're gonna electrocute some fish. So we'll see you in that one. Don't forget, hit the thumbs up button on the way out if you would, and adios. I've got a wasp that's decided to take a liking to this skid steer. It's just like right with me. Holy cow, that thing's impressive. I'm about to get stung by a wasp. It's like right there. I think I hit it, but hopefully I didn't hit it.